I'm Kathy from Absolutely Fabulous at Home in New Minas, Nova Scotia. Today I thought we would look at pie pans. You ever wonder why that pie crust didn't turn out quite the way you thought it was? It's your mother's recipe. She's used it for 100 years. How come yours didn't turn out like that? Well, it could be the pie pan. You ever thought about that? I didn't know this. So I started doing a little research on why pie crusts don't always work out, and I discovered something interesting. There are essentially 3 different kinds of pie pans. The most traditional is the one we all grew up with. It's your simple glass 9-inch pie pan. Tempered so that it'll take the heat. It's the right size, it's the right shape. It'll get 6 good slices, 4 if you're super hungry. You can use it for meat pies, you could use it for fruit pies, you can use it for anything. The advantage of a glass pie pan is that the glass is slower to heat, so you get a longer, slower bake. That's really important if you're doing a double crust pie or a filled pie. If what you have in the pie needs to cook, then you need a longer time in the oven. And if you're doing what they call a blind bake pie, which we'll get to in a minute. So let's say I'm doing a blueberry pie. A blueberry pie in a glass pie plate is actually going to allow the filling to cook and the pastry. So that's the advantage of a glass. But what if you're doing what they call a blind bake? So a blind bake is when you're baking the crust first, and you use something called pie weights or kidney beans. You've put your pie crust in the pan, and then you're going to pour the kidney beans or the pie weights in. You're going to what they call blind bake it, and you're going to have this pre-baked crust. And that's how we do a lot of our custard pies, like lemon meringue or a coconut cream, or anything that we make a filling that we're cooking on the stove or preparing and then adding to the pie pan. If I use a glass pie plate for that, I run the risk of the crust not baking evenly. The heat doesn't get through the glass fast enough. I'm going to have an uneven bake. With a metal pan, and this is probably one of the most traditional pans, the enamelware pan. This is porcelain that is enameled or bonded onto stainless steel. It's fairly thin, but it's thick enough to actually give me some heat retention, which is what bakes my crust from both the bottom and the top. So I get that nice browned crust ready for my lemon meringue. This is probably one of the oldest style pans. Then you have your little simple, again, very lightweight, a stainless steel pan. It's so easy to use. You don't need to spray this pan or this one with anything. The pie crust has enough oil in it that it kind of naturally releases from the pans. You can get metal pans in your typical 9-inch, your traditional. You can get a great 6-inch pie. This is the perfect size if you like to do a meat pie for yourself or to share with 2 people. That's a nice deep pan. It's a little bit heavier weight, which is important because you're going to need a little bit slower bake with a smaller pan. Or you can get a set of 4. These are a fairly heavy little weight. These are perfect for individual pies, meat or fruit, and they have that nice same sort of weight because you do need a little bit, you need to slow that time down for baking just a little bit to be sure that whatever was inside the filling of the crust is getting cooked as well. Meijer make a lovely deep dish pan. This one doesn't have the slopey sides that you expect on a pie plate. It has a deep dish, a deep straighter side. Makes a fabulous deep, like a deep apple pie or anything like that you might want to have a deep filling on. Then you have your good grips with the lid. So this is a slightly larger, you can tell it's quite a bit deeper than our glass pie pan. This is another version of a glass pie pan, but a lot deeper. An excellent pie pan for a filled pie or a really deep dish pie. And then the last material, so we had our glass and we have our metal, we have stoneware. Stoneware acts in a very similar way to glass, but it takes even longer to bake. This is perfect for a pie, a meat pie, something that really has to bake thoroughly all the way through. You want to make sure that temperature is consistent so that obviously you've cooked it to a healthy temperature. You need to do that slowly. If I'm doing it in a metal pan, unless my pie is very thin, I run the risk of the crust being overcooked and the filling not cooked enough. This is one way to really help that. Plus, it's a pretty pan. So yes, you can use any of these pans for any of your favorite pie recipes, but I guarantee you'll have specific results with the specific material you choose for your pies.